So if you had no idea they're making a new Superman movie and you want an easy to understand breakdown of the trailer that just dropped and you want to know where this Superman movie falls in line with the other Superman movies, I'm going to tell you in a very simple way and break it down for you. So real simple, they're rebooting the entire DC universe. That means no more Henry as Superman, no more Ben as Batman, no more Gal as Wonder Woman. That whole universe is gone. I know. I get it. I was upset. I'm not even a huge comic book kind of guy, and I was really upset when they announced that. No one likes change. I totally get it. And I'm not gonna lie, I had my doubts when they announced that they were gonna redo Superman. I was like, oh, here we go again. But then I saw the trailer and I'm not mad anymore. Hey there, I'm Trey. If you like talking movies, music, and all things pop culture, hit that like and subscribe button, please. And also leave me a comment on this video. Let me know, what's your favorite Superman movie? So I grew up with Christopher Reeve. He was my Superman. Michael Keaton was my Batman. Those were my guys growing up. Those were my films growing up. It was also way back in the day before cinematic universes. It was just seeing them on the big screen. It was such a big deal. So obviously by default, Christopher Reeve was my Superman. Which explains in 2006 when they announced Superman Returns, I was really excited. A lot of people may not know this, but Superman Returns was supposed to be an homage sequel to Superman 1 and 2, Christopher Reeve's Superman 1 and 2. They were gonna ignore what happened in part 3 and 4. So again, as a fan of Christopher Reeve, I was really looking forward to this film, and I actually enjoyed it. The film was a little long, it lacked some action sequences, it had its faults, if you will. But it also had its charm. Again, because it paid homage to the other films, you could feel that, you could see it. It felt like a Christopher Reeve Superman movie, but just set in a more modern time, if you will. Again, as a Christopher Reeve fan, I really enjoyed that film. And get this, if my memory serves me well, Superman Returns actually did really well at the box office. It made a lot of money, but not enough for Warner Brothers to want a sequel. I think they were gonna make a sequel in 2009, but they canceled that because it didn't do well enough for them or good enough or whatever. I can't even talk right now. You get what I'm saying. And because Warner Brothers wasn't happy with how it did at the box office, that's why we rebooted the franchise again, and that's when Henry came in as Superman. I have nothing bad to say about it. Growing up with Christopher Reeve, I thought I wasn't gonna like what they did with Henry Superman, and I loved it. I loved the darker feel to it, the darker tones, just the aesthetic of the movie, how it felt set in our reality, but still not really. It had this vibe to it that was just really, really good. Henry killed it. I was a fan of Man of Steel, a fan of Batman vs. Superman, a fan of Justice League. It was a shame that they decided to redo this whole universe because they had spent so much into this. But again, I have nothing bad to say about it. I love Henry, plus he's also really hot, so you can't go wrong. Again, miss you, Henry. Now to the new Superman film. So what I really like about the trailer is the color is back, the costume. I'm not gonna lie, when they did the first look of the costume, they released a picture. I wasn't that crazy about it, but seeing it now with the new poster, seeing it in action, I feel so much differently about it. Something to understand also about this film. This film, again, is restarting the whole DC universe. So like I said earlier, this is an important film. It needs to do well. With that in mind, this is also not an origin story. This film is starting with Superman already established. He's been on Earth, he's been doing his thing. Lex Luthor is his enemy and all that kind of stuff. There's a guy that I follow on YouTube, his name is Chris from 3C Films, and he said he had heard that this film is starting with action right away, and we get that from the trailer. We see an injured Superman, and he calls on Krypto the superdog to quote unquote take him home. I'm assuming that's to take him back so that he can regain his powers and continue fighting the bad guys. I could be wrong with that hypothesis. Again, go follow someone who has more DC knowledge than I do. Again, my knowledge and my love for this film comes from growing up in the 80s and 90s with Christopher Reeve as my Superman. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, my perspective of this critique, if you will. Also, David Corenswet, he looks amazing as Clark Kent. Again, it brings back the Christopher Reeve kind of nostalgic look, if you will. The Daily Planet looks the way the Daily Planet did. It has the big globe at the top, the Daily Planet globe. Again, it feels like a comic book Superman movie. Again, it's very nostalgic to the Christopher Reeve film, and I think that's why if you grew up with Christopher Reeve, you will find some sort of enjoyment in this trailer. Also the trailer, the score. If you grew up with Christopher Reeve, that original score, that horn, you just knew, it just gave you that feeling. I was really, really happy to hear the score here, and it had a certain feel to it that I can't explain. When I was watching it, it made me emotional, and I'm just excited to see more of the film with that score and just to experience it. It felt really nice. And again, it feels like a comic book film. It still feels set in the reality of kind of the Christopher Reeve realm, if you will, with a little bit of the darker tones, if you will. So it just feels good. I'm excited for this one. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about the new Superman movie. Are you excited? Are you upset about Henry still being gone? Does this film kind of give you some more hope? Let me know, drop me a comment, let me know what you think. I'm sure I'll think of more things to say as more trailers and we get more looks from this film and behind the scenes stuff and whatnot. I'm hoping it still lives up to the expectation that I have for it because I have high expectations for it now. But again, only time will tell. That is it, my friends. Until next time, yeah, up, and away.